So, I was looking over the map for the Keep on the Borderlands again last night.
Oh, the classic.
Yeah, specifically the Caves of Chaos. And it just struck me just how incredibly noisy that place must be.
That is a really good point, actually.
Right. Because you've got the orcs in Area C probably shouting at each other all day. The goblins in Area D are definitely arguing.
And the hobgoblins are running military drill.
Exactly. It's like a crowded apartment complex with paper-thin walls and very, very angry neighbors.
It is a perfect analogy. It's basically high-density housing for monsters. Chaotic by name and chaotic by nature.
But then right in the middle of this loud, violent subdivision, you have Area G. On the map, it's literally labeled the Shunned Cavern.
Yes.
And the first thing you notice about it isn't what's there, but who isn't there. It's totally quiet.
And honestly, it's the silence that should scare you.
Totally. And the source material gives us this great detail right off the bat. There's an ogre living nearby, a 10-foot-tall, club-wielding brute who presumably does whatever he wants.
Right.
But even the ogre absolutely refuses to go near Area G.
That right there is classic environmental storytelling. When the monsters, like the things that are supposed to be the scary ones, are afraid of a specific door, you know as a player that you've stumbled onto something significantly worse than a goblin with a spear.
It sets the stakes immediately. So today, on the deep dive, we are walking past the organized tribes, ignoring the politics of the orcs and kobolds, and stepping straight into that silence.
I'm so ready for this.
We're going to explore the Shunned Cavern, unpack the lethal design of this specific dungeon area, and figure out why even the bad guys are terrified of it.
We're going to look at the ecology, the traps that aren't really traps, and the brutal lesson this area teaches about curiosity.
Let's start right at the front door. The module gives the Dungeon Master a very specific instruction on what to tell you before you even see a monster.
It's a sensory warning.
Right. The stench. The text says, a horrible stench is noticed as soon as creatures enter the cavern area. Now, usually I just think, okay, it's a cave, monsters live here, of course it smells. But this feels different.
It is entirely different. In old school game design, this is what we call actionable intel.
Oh, I like that term.
Yeah, it's essentially a keep out sign painted in smell. Because think about it. If you walk into a goblin cave, it might smell like smoke or unwashed bodies or cooking fires. That implies life.
Right, a living settlement.
Exactly. But this smell, this implies death. It tells you that whatever is in here isn't practicing hygiene, isn't organized, and is likely surrounded by things that are actively rotting.
It's the smell of a predator's den, not a civilization. But let's be real here. Adventurers are basically toddlers.
Pretty much.
If you tell them something smells bad, they don't run away. They go, I wonder what smells bad, and they walk right in.
Curiosity is the adventurer's fatal flaw, and the designer knows that.
So we pinch our noses and walk into the first chamber. This is Area 32, which is labeled the Empty Gallery. Now, gallery applies something grand, maybe art on the walls, high ceilings.
You'd think so.
But the text describes a floor covered in a litter of dead leaves, old branches, bones, and rotting corpses.
It's a trash heap, a literal boneyard.
But here is where the module pulls a psychological trick that I absolutely love. It gamifies the trash.
It really does.
The text says there's a specific mechanic for searching through this disgusting mess.
And this is one of the most diabolical pieces of design in the whole module because it weaponizes your greed. The rule is, if you spend a round searching the trash, you find a coin.
Just one coin.
1 coin per round. Maybe a copper piece, maybe a silver piece, if you are incredibly lucky, an electrum piece.
Okay, so let's break down the economy here for a second. You're a level 1 adventurer. You are broke. You probably pooled your money just to buy a 10-foot full and some dry rations.
Exactly.
The idea of free money, even if it's basically pennies, completely triggers that foraging instinct.
Yeah. It captures that looter mentality perfectly. You think, well, I'm already here. Nothing is attacking me right now. I might as well spend 10 minutes and get enough copper to buy a drink back at the tavern later.
It's the couch cushion strategy. You're digging for change in a couch made of rotting corpses.
That is a gross but accurate way to put it.
But in this game, specifically in this era of design, time's not a free resource, is it?
No, not at all. And that is the trap. The currency you're spending isn't energy, it's risk. The text explicitly warns that the sound of such searching might bring visitors.
And looking at the random encounter table for this specific room, these aren't the kind of visitors you want. It's not a lost goblin delivering pizza.
No, it's a punishment table. Let's look at the odds. You have a 1 in 6 chance per turn of triggering an encounter.
Which seems kind of low on paper.
Right, it seems low. But if you spend 10 minutes searching for 10 pennies, you're almost guaranteed to trigger it.
And what actually shows up?
Well, if you roll a 4, 5, or 6, you're safe. Nothing happens.
Hmm.
But if you roll a 1, 2, or 3, you are in serious trouble.
What's on a 3?
A roll of 3 summons a gray ooze.
Which we will definitely get to in a minute, and they are incredibly nasty.
But it gets worse because a roll of 1 or 2 summons an owlbear.
An owlbear, we're talking about a massive, multi-attacking apex predator showing up just because I was looking for a single copper piece.
That is the trade-off. You are literally risking instant death for a penny.
That is such a harsh lesson for a new player. The learner, so to speak. It teaches you that empty rooms aren't actually safe rooms. Dungeons aren't safe spaces to hang out and sweep the floor.
It establishes the pace of the adventure. If you dither, if you get greedy over small things, the dungeon will eat you.
So, assuming we don't get eaten by a wandering owlbear in the lobby, we move deeper. We head toward Area 33, and the environment shifts dramatically here. We go from dry, crunchy leaves to wet, slick stone.
This is the shallow pool area. The atmosphere gets heavy and damp. The text describes a sheen on the walls and floors, and right in the center of the cavern you have this large pool of shallow water.
And inside the water, there's this really creepy detail. Blind whitefish.
I love that detail so much.
It's so effective. It reinforces that we are deep underground in a place light hasn't touched for centuries. Those fish have evolved to not even need eyes. It just makes your skin crawl.
Yeah, it sets a very specific mood.
But let's be honest, the players aren't looking at the fish. They see something else in the water.
The bait.
A jewel-encrusted goblet.
Worth 1,300 gold pieces.
I literally gasped when I read that number. For a level 1 party, 1,300 gold is a fortune. That's buy a warhorse and plate mail for everyone money.
Oh, easily.
That is, retire to a nice cottage money for a rookie adventurer.
It's an enormous escalation. Think about it. In the gallery, the module tempted you with pennies. Here, it tempts you with the mother lode. It's checking to see if you actually learned your lesson.
But it's sitting right there in a pool of water, in a cave that smells like death. If that isn't the most obvious trap in the history of traps, I don't know what is.
It is extremely obvious. But the genius of it is that the trap isn't mechanical. There's no tripwire. There's no pressure plate. The trap is biological.
Enter the gray ooze. Now, for someone listening who hasn't played this or isn't deep into the bestiary, paint a picture for us. What are we looking at? Or rather, what are we not looking at?
That's the core of the problem. You're likely not seeing it at all. A gray ooze is essentially a puddle of sentient acid.
Just a puddle.
Just a puddle. It looks exactly like wet stone or dirty water. It doesn't have eyes or a mouth you can see. It's just an amorphous blob that exists solely to dissolve organic matter and metal.
And the placement of these things in this room is just military-grade cruelty.
It really is. The module places 3 of them here. One is on the south edge of the pool, but the other 2, one is on the ceiling in the southwest corner, and the third might be on the ceiling near the entrance.
They're on the ceiling.
Just waiting to drop.
So picture this. The players seize the goblet, they get excited, they wade into the water, looking down, trying to navigate the slick footing, watching the blind fish. And the actual threat comes from above.
And the text really emphasizes how hard they are to spot. It gives a specific probability, a 1 in 20 chance to notice them.
That's a 5% chance.
And that 5% chance only applies if you are specifically looking for them. Like if you are actively prodding the ceiling with a pole or holding torches up, if you just walk in looking at the goblet, you have a 0% chance. You are going to get hit.
And getting hit by a gray ooze isn't like getting hit by a goblin sword. A sword cuts you, you heal, it's fine. This thing does something much, much worse to a specific type of character.
This is the big mechanics gotcha of Area G. The gray ooze deals 1 to 8 damage, which is painful, sure.
Right.
But its special ability is armor destruction.
This is the thing that keeps fighters awake at night.
If the ooze hits you, or if you accidentally step on it, the acid destroys your armor. Specifically, the text mentions foot and leg protection if you step in it, or your main armor if it drops on you from above.
So imagine you're the tank of the party. You spent all your starting gold on chain mail or splint mail. You feel invincible because you have a super high armor class. You walk in front because that's your job.
Yep.
And in one single round, your armor is turned into gray sludge.
It completely subverts the expectation of safety. Usually, armor class is your safety net. It's the thing between you and death. Here, your armor is the target. The monster eats the protection first, and then it eats the person.
And it gets worse, doesn't it? Because once the armor is gone,
The damage doubles. The text explicitly says thereafter, attacks cause 2 to 16 points of damage.
That's an instant kill for almost any character at this level. 16 damage, you're dead.
It is a heat-seeking missile for the party's strongest member. And notice the synergy with the environment. You're in water, you're moving slow, you're distracted by the shiny goblet, and then hiss, your defenses just melt off your body.
It really reinforces that this cave operates on an entirely different set of rules. In the goblin caves, you fight, you win, you get loot. Here, you get baited, your gear gets destroyed, and you might not even get the goblet because you're too busy dying.
It turns the tank into a liability. It's brilliant, nasty design.
Okay, so let's assume we somehow survive the acid bath. We're battered, maybe our boots are dissolved, we are terrified of ceilings now, but we press on to the final chamber, Area 34, the Owlbear's Den.
The landlord. The actual reason the cave is shunned.
We've mentioned him a few times as a wandering monster back in the gallery, but this is his actual home base. And the text paints a pretty vivid picture of his domestic situation.
It's extremely messy. But the creature itself, the owlbear is iconic for a reason. It's a hybrid monster. The head of a giant owl, the body of a bear.
Which sounds kind of goofy, like something a little kid would draw, until you actually look at the stat block.
It's a meat grinder. Armor class 5, so it's tough to hit. 5 hit dice, meaning it has around 30 hit points. That takes a massive amount of punishment to bring down for a low-level party.
But it's the offensive output that really shocks me.
3 attacks per round.
Again, we have to contextualize this for you listening. A standard player character at this level gets 1 swing of their sword per round, 1 chance to hit. This thing gets a claw, another claw, and a bite. Every single round.
And each one hits for 1 to 8 damage. So theoretically, it can output 24 damage in about 6 seconds.
It's a literal flurry of violence.
It shreds anyone standing in front of it. And unlike the oozes, which are passive traps waiting for you to step on them, the owlbear is incredibly aggressive. If it wakes up, the text says it roars and rushes out. It bridges the distance instantly.
Now, the text says it's sleeping when you arrive. But there's a detail in the room description that answers the question we started with today. Why is this place shunned? Why does the ogre stay away?
Digesting a meal of lol.
That is such a grim little detail. It caught a knoll at dawn.
This tells us the owlbear isn't just eating deer from the forest outside. It's actively hunting the other inhabitants of the Caves of Chaos.
It's the apex predator of the neighborhood.
Exactly. It explains why the goblins don't expand into this nice, spacious cave system, because the thing living here actively eats them. It makes the dungeon feel like a living ecosystem.
Yeah.
These monsters aren't a united front against the players. They are part of a food chain, and the owlbear is sitting right at the top.
So you engage the beast. It's a desperate fight. Probably someone goes down. You finally kill it. You stand over the carcass of this massive monstrosity, catching your breath. You look around the nest for the treasure. Where is the gold?
There is no gold.
The module specifically says the owlbear has no hoard of gold.
Which feels like a huge slap in the face. You just fought the toughest monster in the cavern.
It's the ultimate anticlimax. But if you search the nest, amidst the sticks and bones, there is something.
A bone tube.
And inside,
A scroll.
just a piece of paper.
But not just any piece of paper. A scroll of protection from undead.
Now, this is where I think the design gets really, really clever. Because at first glance, that seems totally random. Why does an owlbear have a magic scroll? It can't read.
Obviously, it ate a wizard or a cleric previously, but from a gameplay perspective, this isn't just loot. This is a key.
The key to what?
To the rest of the module. If you look at the wider map of the keep on the Borderlands, there is a very scary area called the Shrine of Evil Chaos. And inside that shrine, there are rooms labeled Hall of Skeletons and Hall of Undead Warriors.
Ah, I see. So the game is handing you the solution to a future puzzle.
Exactly. The reward for clearing the biological threat, the owlbear, is the exact tool you need to survive the supernatural threat later on.
That forces the players to make a really interesting valuation. If you skipped Area G because it smelled bad or because you were scared of the quiet, you missed that scroll.
And then you might easily die later because you can't turn the skeletons in the shrine.
It connects the whole dungeon together. It's not just a bunch of random rooms. It's an interconnected web of risk and reward.
And notice how hidden it is. Finding the tube requires a search roll, a 1 in 6 chance per person.
Again, with the dice.
Yeah.
You have to actually spend the time digging through the owlbear's filthy bed to find it. You have to earn it.
It heavily rewards thoroughness.
So when you step back and look at the shunned cavern as a whole package, It's really a masterclass in dungeon design, isn't it? It's a self-contained loop of terror.
It is. Think about the progression here. You start with the stench, a clear warning to turn back,
Then the empty gallery.
a test of discipline. Can you resist the urge to scavenge for pennies? If you fail, you get punished with wandering monsters.
Then the shallow pool.
A test of greed and observation. Can you spot the trap? Are you willing to risk your armor for a shiny goblet?
And finally, the boss fight.
The owl bear. The raw combat test.
It tests every single aspect of being an adventurer. Caution, perception, combat, and thoroughness.
And it does it all without a single word of dialogue from an NPC. It is entirely environmental.
I want to leave you with a thought that struck me while reading about that poor digested gnoll.
The one in the owlbear's stomach.
Yeah, we know there is a gnoll lair nearby Area K. There are dozens of gnolls there. They are organized, they are armed, and they are mean.
They are a literal military force.
So if they know where this owl bear lives, and they obviously know it's eating their scouts, why haven't they wiped it out?
That is the million gold piece question.
Seriously, a squad of 20 gnolls with bows could turn that owl bear into a pincushion in one round. They have the numbers, but they just let it live.
It suggests a fascinating lack of cooperation among the forces of chaos.
Or maybe a really cynical kind of strategy.
Right. Maybe they view the owlbear as a free security guard. It covers their flank.
Exactly. Like, sure, it eats one of us every couple of months, but it eats 5 adventurers every week.
It's just the cost of doing business in the caves.
It really highlights that chaos isn't a team. There are rival gangs living in a powder keg, and the owlbear is just the loose cannon rolling around on the deck.
And as long as it rolls toward the players, the gnolls are perfectly happy.
Well, that is all the time we have for this deep dive into the muck and slime of Area G. It's a nasty little cave, but I think we've proven it's absolutely worth the visit.
Just remember to bring a 10-foot pole to poke the water.
And maybe don't wear your best pants.
Definitely not.
Thanks for listening. Go check your armor for acid burns, and we will see you on the next deep dive.